Okay, brilliant. My name is County Councillor Carl Lewis, and I have been selected to chair this subcommittee today, which is the Green Lizard Brewery Barn Business Park at Coedway. I'll introduce others on the panel now, so I'll go first to Councillor Howland Hume. Over to you, Councillor Howland.
Yes, good afternoon all. I'm County Councillor Howland Hume. My ward is the Rhucannon ward in Mid Powys.
Councillor Josie, please.
Good afternoon. I'm County Councillor Josie Ewing. My ward is Langdon Dodge South. Thank you.
Thank you. Colin Edwards, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Colin Edwards. I'm a solicitor with Powys County Council, and I'm here to clerk the meeting today to advise the members on law and procedure.
Okay, and our licensing officer, Natalie Jones, please.
Good afternoon, Natalie Jones, licensing officer based in the north of the county.
Thank you. I'll hand over to Colin now for introductions with people taking part in the meeting. Thank you.
Yes, welcome everyone to this licensing hearing. I'll just very briefly, you should all have had a written notification of the procedure today. The whole concept of these hearings is that they are discussions led by the chair and members, but very broadly what will happen is that shortly the chairman will invite the licensing officer to outline the facts and the application that has been received in respect of Green Lizard Brew Company. Following that, he will allow questions if there are any. Following that, the applicant will be invited to say what he wishes to say in support of his application, followed by questions. And then we'll go through the objectors one by one, I think. Following each objector, the chairman will invite any questions on what that objector has said. Now we're joined by Mr. Dan Stajkic, who's an environmental health officer with Powys County Council and an expert on noise monitoring, and he may be needed at some point. The chairman may call on him to clarify certain aspects relating to noise. Following everyone's contribution, the chairman will invite any objectors to sum up what they have said and wish the panel members to take away, followed by inviting the applicant to have the last word in summing up his application. Members and myself only will then adjourn to a separate breakout room, and members will consider their decision with advice from me on law and procedure, if necessary. We will then rejoin the meeting, and the chairman will announce the decision of the licensing subcommittee. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Colin. I'll hand over now to Natalie Jones, the licensing officer, to outline the application. Over to you, Natalie, please.
Thank you, Carl. The licensing department received an application for a new premise licence on the 18th of May from Rhys Jones, who was applying to sell alcohol from the barn at Coedway with the trading name of Green Lizard Brew Company Limited. When an application is submitted to the licensing authority, we generally make contact with the applicant for more information. I spoke with Rhys Jones and I had a discussion regarding the application. He indicated there was a small-scale production of beer, hence the nano brewery, but also intended to have a small tap room on site with some locally produced, bought-in alcohol on offer as well. There was also going to be some online sales. The application was processed, sent round to the responsible authorities, and the advert placed in the local press, published on our website, and the notice displayed at the premise. 8 or 9 days prior to the end of the consultation period, there was an influx of objections that began to come in. There's 10 objections in total. One has since been withdrawn. These objections are all from residents or businesses within close proximity of the premise. You will note from the content of the objections, there is much concern about possible intentions of the business, as well as some issues relating to planning, contract law, and environmental health legislation. Although very concerning for those in the locality, this meeting is to consider the premise licence application put before us and the promotion of the 4 licensing objectives, which are the prevention of public nuisance, prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, and the protection of children from harm. And the panel is asked to consider this application.
Thank you, Natalie. I'll go now to the applicant, Mr. Rhys-Jones, to add anything that he wants to add to this hearing now. So, Mr. Rhys-Jones, it's over to you to go through your application and outline what this licensing application is about. Over to you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Just to put it bluntly, from what everyone's heard, I mean, I think there's quite a lot of hearsay that's gone on. I just want to put it straight what we're about, what we want to happen, and hopefully work with everybody. Because at the end of the day, if we haven't got people on board, and especially local residents, then the business will take a hit anyway. So we do really want to work alongside everyone, make sure everyone's happy. There seems to be a lot said about the landlord who owns the business park. I don't think he owns it currently, but there's a transitional period between when he will own it. He is nothing to do with our business. I think a lot of people seem to think he is, which is, I think, why we're here today. But our intentions are small scale tap room where we can sell our beer to local residents and online, and towards regiments in the army. We're army focused. We're quite niche. It was just the tap room was an addition because, well, we'd hope that the local residents would like locally sourced beer. And obviously we're having all other beers like gins, ciders that are local. We want to try and keep it local, and hopefully we want to try and employ locally as well. And the majority of it's going to be online sales. We're a nano brewery, like I say. It's a very small operation. One of the directors, Nicholas, he's coming out of the army soon. He's done 12 years in the army. I've done 4. Come out. I know what it's like to come out into, into civvy life. It's hard. Our aim is to try and get him into a brewery. He's the head brewer. He's going to be sort of running it as alongside with me as well, because I've also got my own business. I'm a renewable heating engineer, and I'll be sort of there a couple of days a week just helping Nick. You'll only see me and Nick down there. Christian, the other director, he's in the army full time, so you'll only ever see me and Nick. I just want to put it clear that there's all these objections. They seem completely irrelevant, because all we want to do is, like I say, is to have a nano brewery with a very small tap room. That's all I've got to say. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rhys-Jones. Any questions from the panel, please? I'll go to Councillor Halwyn-Hume first, please. To Mr. Rhys-Jones.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Rhys. What are your future plans? Where do you see yourself in 2 years' time or 5 years' time? What are your future plans for this, Rhys?
Our future plans are primarily we're going to be on majority of our sales are going to be towards regiments in the army. Hopefully, we'll grow as a business. If the locals seem interested and they're keen and they want to be on board on our side, and we feel that we have to grow our tap room to cater for everybody, then we will do. But at the moment, we're focused on brewing beer there, selling online, and selling on a small scale to residents. If for whatever reason it does grow and the residents are happy with us and they want a bigger venue, then we'll talk about it in the future. But at the moment, we're a very small business. So yeah, that's where we want to be.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Councillor Josie, please. Do you have any questions to Mr. Rhys-Jones?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Councillor Carl. You're mentioning small numbers in regards to consuming alcohol within your tap room. On a evening or afternoon basis, how many participants consuming alcohol would you imagine that you would receive in your tap room? Thank you.
It would be, obviously, it's quite hard to say. I mean, it's a lovely village. It's quite a small village. I mean, we're anything between sort of 5 to 10 people. You know, it's nothing like what people are imagining. It's going to be a very small outfit. Majority of our beers will be sold online, like I said. So it's just we wanted the tap room there for people to try our beers, and then if they liked it, then they can buy our beers from the tap room. There's nothing different.
So actually, okay.
So
in regards to that, actually, the consumption of alcohol would be more on a testing of your brewery's flavours and tastes of what you have to offer. Is that what you're trying to say? That you may get somebody come along and just trial one bottle of alcohol or two different types.
They can try one, they can try two, they can try three. You know, if it gets to a point where we think that they're going to be a nuisance, then we'll follow the guidance that we've got.
Okay, and just to finish up on my point in regarding numbers, if you do have between 5 and 10 people there, do you imagine any of them are overspilling into any of the locations on the site? Do you know, what is your plan? No, so it's a straight no. Okay, thank you. That's my question answered. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Josie. Mr. Rhys-Jones, I have a number of questions for you.
Yeah.
First of all, waste from brewing the hops or whatever you're using, discarded water. What are you planning to do with that? How you proper discard of that?
So we need to have a word with John, obviously. John Dix, who's going to be owning the site, as to what waste is in place. I think there's only one. I think there's one tank at the moment, and maybe we're going to need another septic tank for our waste. But it's not going to be huge waste. And if we do need to get a new tank, we'll obviously follow the advice of building regs approval. But I don't think we'll necessarily need planning permission. But certainly we'll follow building regs if we need a new tank to get rid of our waste. But it's not going to be much. It'll be about 6 litres, you know, every week. So
where are you hoping to dispose of the dry waste?
We're going to take it to a local farmer.
Okay, and is that's been already put in place, is it?
We've got two farmers that are interested. Yeah. So
okay. What are the hours of operation and the gates on the front of the business park there? I noticed there's some wooden gates, and I've been told that, you know, through correspondence I've read that those gates are closed during certain times. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that for me, please?
Again, that's probably a discussion have to have with John. I'm not too sure. We only concentrate on our side. I'm not too sure. I think it's around 5 o'clock off the top of my head. I'm not too sure. Sorry, of the business park in general. Each business shuts at different times, I'd imagine. But
okay. Toilet facilities at the moment on site.
Yeah.
I believe there's only one unisex toilet. Are you planning to put more in because you've got a tap room there, obviously?
Yeah.
5 potential people. I
mean, we'll have to just play it by ear, because obviously if there's going to be more people there and there's going to be people, you know, saying about, well, we need more facilities, you know, I'm a plumber, it's not hard, I can put a new toilet in. Like I say, I'm going to work with the residents. I don't want, you know, we can put a porta cabin on, worst case scenario. So it's yeah, it's something I can do. Yeah.
Okay. This probably is a question really for Natalie. I know I should be asking Reese, but maybe Reese can help. Is there a covenant on the property currently from Sunday workings and evening workings on the property? Do you know, Natalie?
I don't know. That would be a planning restriction.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Collection of alcohol, 24 hours. Is that deliveries, or are you expecting people turning up to collect deliveries?
Obviously, if it's 24 hours, that's because of the online sales.
Yeah.
So it would be done through deliveries. Yeah.
So you won't have anyone turning up after 11 o'clock to pick up alcohol?
I'll be no, there's no. We said 11 o'clock because it's only a sort of an hour and a half after the local pub stops serving. So we've got an extra hour and a half for local residents if they do want to carry on drinking. At least they've got somewhere to go, to put it bluntly.
Okay. On the application, the initial application that you put in, it was a bit confusing for me. There was a Mr. Dix involved there, yourself. Could you clarify? You mentioned at the start there was yourself and two other gentlemen, one being in the army and one currently on his way out to the armed forces, I believe.
Yeah, so Nicholas Davis is serving, and he's due to come out, hopefully, to run the tap room. Christian Davis is serving, and he'll be serving for indefinite. And then obviously there's myself. I mentioned John Dix because at the start he did have an interest in the company, but like I say, we want to work with the residents, and if it's going to, I mean, we don't want to. I mean, we've spoke with John personally. He seems to be a really nice guy, to be fair. We haven't had any sort of fallings out or any dealings with. So the interest was there. If he obviously, because he was a friend of mine because we worked with each other in the past, he's obviously said, what about having a business on my site? And the interest was there to add him as a director, but he's not a director. It's just I think he's got too much on, and Nick, we can run it together. We both know what we want out of it, and too many chefs spoil the brew, don't they? So we want to keep it as close as we can, and just
Thank you for that clarification. Are you intending to limit the amount of people on site at any one time? You mentioned 5 people in the tap room.
Yeah. We will consider it, but obviously if it becomes quite popular, which I hope it will do, the business will grow with the demand. So if there's more people that are interested, and more local residents that are interested, then we'll grow with the demand. Yeah, it all depends. It's hard to say at the start, but it all depends on who's interested and how many people we can get there. I mean, we'll always put something in place for we want people to enjoy themselves, and we don't want people drinking too much, causing a nuisance. That's not what we're about at all. We're quite strict on that. It's just a local village tap room. That's why we want to keep it. So
okay, I'll bring Councillor Josie in for a second. I'll pause my question.
Just a slight follow-up from that. I'd just like to ask Reese what would happen come opening day, let's say, and you're predicting between 5 and 10 people consuming alcohol in your tap room, and you're lucky enough to receive 40 people turning up. Have you thought initially of what you would do in regards to that, please? Thank you.
Yeah, so at the moment we're not accommodating for 40 people because we're a nano brewery. Like going back to what I said before, we're a nano brewery. We're looking at small numbers, so we wouldn't be looking at accommodating 40 people. We'd be turning people away.
Okay, so that is what you have in place. The additional numbers would be turned away.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can only do 300 litres a month, so
Okay.
40 people would drink 300 litres quite quickly. So we want to try and, yeah, like I said, if the business grows and people are happy, and we can facilitate it, then by all means we would love to grow as a business. Yeah, sure. But at the moment we're a nano brewery, and that's how it's staying at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Do you intend to serve food on site at the moment? I don't see anything in your application, but just for residents to.
There has been talks of selling food, and we've talked about there's a butcher's on site who's got his food license, and I think we're going to just do a sort of a partnership with him doing barbecues and stuff. He would have the food license, and we'd obviously do the ale. It'd be just a collab.
Are there any customer vehicles or staff vehicles likely to be left on site? Because from the photographs, it does look like a very small yard there, and obviously we've got other businesses.
We were concerned about that. At the very start of the application, I actually did say to John, you know, it would be impossible. It's a very busy place, and John's assured me that once he gets he does get full ownership of the business park, he is going to do some off-road parking at the back. There is parking. There's people parking up on the side of the road. It is dangerous. I have told John to get onto the council about it, because it's a 50 miles an hour straight through. Ideally, you need speed bumps and to put it to a 30 in my eyes. But John, out of his goodwill, out of his own gestures, actually he wants to put parking at the back to save that from happening, to save any trouble, to save any, you know, any crashes or whatever. God bless. But you know, so there won't be any car parks left overnight, because it would just be me and Nick at the start running it, and we'll be going home. So yes, no, and then there'll be additional parking hopefully. Okay.
Obviously, that'll be subject to a planning application.
Yeah.
How do you differ from other licensed premises in the area, and do you see yourself in direct competition with those premises?
I wouldn't see myself in direct competition. No. There's a difference between a pub and a tap room in my eyes. A pub is where you go, sit down, have a meal. You know, there's the only thing we've got in common is we sell beer, but ours is more. It's more local. We're not dealing with big brands. We're just dealing with locally sourced businesses. Local, like I say, local ciders. There's local gins, and then we'll have local ales. We are very different in that approach, because they don't do the same in my eyes, and we do. So we are quite different. We're a niche company. I would say the majority of our sales will be done through regiments, hopefully, and online. But if anybody wants to try, then they're welcome. That's why we've put the tapping on as an addition. I don't think the pub of the road does online sales or anything like that. So.
Okay. What measures are you going to put in place to make sure that your customers stay within the curtilage of your unit and not venture into, obviously you've got neighbouring houses adjoining your unit, and one house has got young children living there. So what are you going to do? What measures are you putting in place to make sure those customers stay within your curtilage?
It's very similar to Stonehouse, to be honest. We'll have a designated area for drinking, and obviously, you know, they probably only have 1 or 2 pints. I'd imagine, you know, it's not going to be people there staying there getting drunk and getting taxis home. Like I say, it's probably going to have a pint, try it if they like it, grab some beer and drive home. That's you know, we're not opening till 11 to attract as many customers as we can, to sell as much as we can. We're not like that at all. If it did get like that, then obviously we've got the necessary actions we'd take. We wouldn't sell. You know, we know we're not stupid. We know what's too much, and we like I say, we want to be on board with the residents. So we need to work with the residents, and that's what we'll do. Yeah.
Yeah. Looking at your plan that you've put together, the sketch that's in one of the annexes there, you've got a loading area with a forklift truck, I presume a bar area there that I can see with a double sink and preparation area. Is that going to be the bar area, the tap sort of zone for people to sample your produce? Is that going to be that area?
So where the forklift area is, that's just going to be where we're going to be storing it.
Yeah.
Left hand side of that upstairs is where we'll be brewing our ale. And at the moment, downstairs we're going to be opening a service hatch, and there'll be some outside seating of maybe like 3 or 4 tables.
So consumption of alcohol is going to be, or sampling your alcohol is going to be through a service hatch.
Yeah.
What sort of area do you control outside that service hatch for people to sit and sample your ales, or is it a situation where they sample ales at the hatch?
You can sample ales at the hatch. We did have a plan of, obviously, if John does get planning permission through, we can have a designated area for people to sit in there. Obviously not on a car park, a proper designated, like a garden. We don't want people sitting in a car park, obviously. So they could sample it at the bar. Obviously, at 1 or 2 people, keep it very small. But if they want to grab a beer, and if we get planning permission for a small area for somewhere to sit on a few tables, but we're looking at the start probably 3 or 4 tables. That would be the safest bet. We don't want anyone in and out the car park, so especially when they're drinking.
Okay. You mentioned about how much produce you're going to make. I believe it was 300 litres, was it?
Yeah, at the moment, maximum is 300 litres, yeah.
Per day?
No, it'd be per week.
Per week?
2 weeks, every 2 weeks.
Every fortnight, yeah?
Every fortnight, it'd be 300 litres, yeah.
Of that 300 litres, what proportion do you hope or envisage being sold through the hatch via sampling, and what percentage do you hope to be sold via online sales?
It's quite hard to say at the start, but I would say the majority of it would be online sales, like I said. But obviously, at the start, 20% on through the hatch. That's why I said there's only a couple of tables.
20%.
But obviously, we want to grow as a business. But at the same time, we want residents to be on our side as well.
Yes.
If they're on our side and they want us to grow, then we can grow together. So.
Okay. That's pretty much all the questions I got for you. Councillor Howland-Hume, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Can we just have clarity on the amount produced each month? Because you've mentioned 300 litres. Earlier on, you mentioned 300 litres per month. Now you just said 300 litres per fortnight. Just for clarity, please.
Yeah, sorry, it's free, a maximum of 300 litres fortnight, 600 a month.
Thank you, please.
Thank you. Councillor Josie, do you have any further questions at all? Before I ask Colin, does he have any questions?
No, I think Reese has covered, and yourselves have covered quite a lot of the scribbles I've got here at the moment, so thank you.
Thank you. Colin, do you have any questions to Mr. Rhys-Jones?
No, thanks, Chairman.
Natalie, licensing officer, do you have any questions to Mr. Rhys-Jones?
No, not at the moment, thank you.
Okay, I will go to the objectors in turn to ask Mr. Rees any questions. So I'll go to, let's get your names right. Miss Gaynor Porter, please.
Hi, Rees, I'd like to ask, firstly, is Nick with you now?
No.
He's not with you because we received an email from Nick and it differs from something that you mentioned about 11 o'clock at night. Obviously, because in a quiet place, sound carries quite a lot. You can hear a pin drop pretty much when it's quiet. Yeah. And Nick did say that he was going to put a contract in place whereby you would only be sort of entertaining on site till 5:30.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, we've revised that since, because it doesn't make sense as a business to do that, because the majority of people are in work until 5:30. You see, so.
Can I just say that you said that the majority was going to go towards regiments and to online sales?
Yeah, so that's true. But at the same time, if we was to close our brewery at 5:30, and majority of people work till that time, we did think about that, because, like we say, we are willing to work with people, but at the same time, for a business to grow, we need a demand, and if there's no demand and we've got the supply, it's not a business. It's just losing money. A lot of people work at that time, so we've revised that since and decided to stick with it with the original times.
Because I spoke to Nick yesterday, so you've revised that since yesterday?
Yeah, we both had a chat yesterday.
Right. You mentioned about food on site. Are you actually going to prepare food yourselves to serve inside, or was that separate for the butcher?
So we'd like to do it ourselves, but at the moment, because we haven't got the license in place, we just thought as like an open day, we could maybe do like a barbecue, a collab with the butcher. It was just, we're trying to make it friendly. We're trying to make it a friendly place for people to come to.
What would you put in place to ensure that the noise, if you did serve people inside, that the adjoining property would not be affected by what you're doing?
At the moment, we're not going to have any people inside.
Yeah, but I know you say that now, but as you say, you want that business to grow. If it were to go the way you hope, what would you put in place to ensure that the neighbours, the adjoining, wouldn't be affected by what you're doing?
I'm sure that's probably going to be a new application, so we'd have to go through that then, because it might be a case of we build somewhere, which means we'd need planning. That's way into the future. That and we'd obviously put the right measures in place for us to get that sorted, but at the moment it's hard to say.
Yeah. Right. I can't think of anything else at the moment. I'll step back and let someone else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll go to Miss Jennifer Meaden, if I could, please.
Hi, I've got quite a few questions actually. I've been a tenant at this property for 30 years. So I feel that the questions I've got to ask you are quite valid. First of all, there was a handwritten notice on the door saying that you wanted to open on 6th of May. But I noticed on your application online, you've actually signed it as the 14th of May. So could you explain why there's that discrepancy, please?
There was a difference. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, there was we did the handwritten at first because that's what original date we had in mind, until we spoke with Natalie and we managed to get a print out. Obviously it's pushed on a little bit, a week or so, so we've done it that way.
So basically what you're saying is you were actually going to open before you even put in an application?
No, we put the application in, but we wouldn't open without a premise license, because we wouldn't do that.
I actually gave, just going to check, I gave advice on that. Obviously, when the application came in, I also saw that there was the May date on it. And obviously, I gave advice to the applicants then that they couldn't open and couldn't trade until the 28-day, at least, consultation period had been.
Yeah, we took advice. Obviously, it's new to us, you see, so we took the right advice and we went to the right people to find out the solutions.
Right. Okay then. So on your application, you're hoping to be able to accommodate 30 people. So if you're not going to have people inside the property, where exactly are you going to put them? Because there is no planning permission on the adjacent field at this point in time.
Yeah. So like I said before, there's not going to be anybody inside the building. and hopefully if the business grows, we'll be looking at a new application and planning permission to obviously account for them people.
But meanwhile, where are you going to accommodate the people that turn up to the tap room, because the yard gets very congested, and there is through traffic, and your unit is pretty much in the path to some of the additional units. So where are you proposing to seat these people?
It would be it would obviously be still on the business park, but in a designated area, obviously with obviously away from any danger, away from cars parking. So it'd be on in the area, but a safer place in a designated area that's fenced off.
So currently there isn't actually any safe place, is there? Because we've got cars parking on the road, the pavements, in front of doors. So there's 12 units there, not 7 as stated in the application. So when you've got the hairdressers and the tea rooms, it gets extremely busy. So I feel, has the health and safety aspect been addressed properly?
Well, yeah. So this is why I think John's trying to get once he gets the business park. Once he's in control of the business park, that's why he's putting planning in for parking and additional seating area.
Right. I'm a bit confused about this because John Dix is supposed to put planning in quite a long time ago. He's filled in a water course. He's emptied 750 gallons of hydrochloric acid out of my tank into a pool and broke up concrete pad. So has the planning permission been put in or not?
Excuse me, Miss Jennifer Maiden, we're not talking about planning here today, we're talking about licensing, so please keep your question into licensing only. Rightio
then. So you hope that you can cater for 30 people, though you're saying it's only a small number at the moment. You're going to be seating people outside, but there is the issue about the health and safety aspect. Fitting people in the tap room is not going to work with the measurements of that. So looking at the floor plan that you provided, with your brewing area being upstairs, are you planning to accommodate members of the public up there? Upstairs on the first floor?
No.
Right. Could you tell me, has the fire service done any survey of the premises?
Go to Natalie for that.
No, but they are intending to. They didn't during the 28-day consultation period because the applicant advised obviously they weren't operational at that time, but they have instructed that they will be doing one in the coming weeks. And obviously there's fire safety legislation and occupancy numbers that they will deal with and restrict as necessary.
So shouldn't this health and safety survey by the fire brigade, etc., not be done before a license is applicated? It is granted.
Sometimes it is done, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it isn't practical, or they're not able to do one. In terms of safety, obviously there is fire safety legislation. The sale of alcohol doesn't necessarily cover fire safety. So the fire safety officer, when they go and do their inspection, if they have issues that are obviously detrimental to fire safety, they will address it themselves because they have the enforcement tools to be able to do it.
So could somebody explain to me that in the winter months, which are not so far away, dark nights, where are people going to sit when it's raining, snowing, frosty? Where are they going to sit?
Not many people sit outside when it's raining and snowing, so we wouldn't. I would imagine there's not many people going to be wanting to come to a brewery that facilitates outdoor seating.
because this property is basically a Dutch barn with a tin roof. The rear of the premises is tin, and then the rest of it is clad. So if people were to be going up the stairs, there is no alternative fire escape. There's no fire exits.
There's no one drinking in the building.
So would you be prepared to put it in writing that you wouldn't let anybody?
Absolutely.
You would, right? Okay. So I noticed currently that the waste pipe from your unit runs down the wall in the toilet into the soil pipe, and I'm aware from speaking to a gentleman called Hugh Jones at Natural Resources Wales that this is not really a very advisable thing, because if yeast gets into a septic tank or whatever tank you'd like to call it, it can be quite harmful and detrimental to
Chairman. This isn't a licensing consideration.
It's not.
Waste and
yeah,
so forth.
Right. Okay. So the butcher, being Joe Cotterill, does not have a license to cook food. He's been refused the license previously. Actually,
again, Miss Maiden, that doesn't come forward to what we're talking about today. It's not no relevance to this application.
Right. Okay. Then I think I'll leave that at that for this moment in time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. No, there is one thing. Yes, there is. The access of the road. There's been over the years 4, if not 5, fatalities on that stretch of road. And I feel that the increased traffic in and out of that yard with very poor visibility, especially when you're getting out,
Again,
should be considered.
It's not a licensing matter.
So you grant a license and you get people coming in, extra people coming into the premises, and something happens, it's not your concern.
That is something that will be considered when the planning application for the premises is considered. It's definitely a planning consideration, but not a premises licensing consideration.
Isn't it a public safety concern? Isn't that what part of your job is, to consider public safety?
The safety of the public at the premises, yes.
But not the safety of the traffic going in and out?
Not the roads outside the premises. The licensing regime works in tandem with the planning regime, but there's no regulations that say that one has to be granted before the other. It's a matter for the applicant to ensure that he's got all the regulatory permissions in place before he does anything that requires regulating.
Well, if it could just be documented that there are concerns regarding the fire aspect of it, regarding the waste disposal, because there's no way that should be going into what they're calling a septic tank.
Ms. Jennifer, so maybe you'll have chance for representation on a planning application if that comes forward at a later date. So you'll be able to put all that information and submit that as you've done to this licensing hearing. So they're totally different, as you've heard the advice from the legal officer. They're totally different characteristics altogether.
Okay, right, that's great. I'll let somebody else have a bash now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to Ms. Emma Rhodes, please.
Hiya.
Hi.
Okay, so it's actually my house that's adjoining the property, and we hear absolutely everything that goes on here. It runs straight across the back of my garden here. Now, you're talking about doing a designated seating area. Where's that going to be?
Mr. Jones, sorry.
Yeah, once we've got some sort of planning in place, this is obviously a planning issue. So once we've got planning in place, then obviously we can talk about where and when then, because we want to obviously away from any noise pollution. We want to keep you happy. Obviously, we're not out here to cause any drama.
I mean,
So.
you say you want to keep us happy, but you know, from where I'm sitting right now, you guys are telling us all one thing, and then you've come on here today and you're telling us something completely different. That doesn't keep me happy. I don't want alcohol being sold here at 11 o'clock at night.
It probably won't be sold at 11.
Probably won't be.
No, I highly doubt it will. Majority of our sales are going to be done online. It's just literally for tasting, and you know, we're not going to have. There's not going to be. It's a village. It's not like it's in a town next to it. Yeah, I know. We were advised to do it till 11. So, you know,
yeah, you were advised to do it till 11. You told us it was going to be till 5, 6 o'clock, and now suddenly last night,
yeah,
you've changed your mind just before the meeting and come in here and said something completely different. Now, to me, that's not keeping the residents happy.
Yeah, but it doesn't. For the business to grow, it doesn't make sense to shut at 5:30. You know, it's.
Yeah.
We can drop we can lower the time. We can do it at the same time as the pub up the road.
Do you have a licensing question now, Miss Rhodes, to Mr. Rees Jones?
I think everything's been covered here, isn't it? I'm not happy. I'm not happy.
Duly noted.
It's my, you know, we've got kids in the garden playing here. You want to have a designated seating area. I know exactly where that's going to be. Okay. I don't think I've got anything else to say.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to Mr. Steve Eccles. I believe, Mr. Steve Eccles, you're the chairman, you're the clerk of the local community council.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm the clerk for the community council. The councillors have asked me to represent them today. We had a number of residents that came forward to talk about this when they found out about it. I appreciate the first bit of my preamble is not to do with licensing, but if you could just give me a minute's leeway. The site itself, as you can tell, is contentious. John Dix is potentially going to be the owner of it, but is not the owner of it at the moment. The land that is talked about for a car park is agricultural land, so will require a change of use, and is also outside the local development plan.
We are still on questions, Chairman, at the moment.
Yeah. So if you could, I'm allowing a preamble a little bit.
Okay, then.
You could put your direct questions to Mr. Rees Jones. Right.
Sorry then. Rees, we met with Nick 2 weeks ago when he met with the residents, and basically 90% of what you've said today is different to what Nick said at the meeting 2 weeks ago. The residents 2 weeks ago were quite happy to support your venture. We all recognise ex-servicemen coming out into society. The idea of a nano brewery, I don't think is a bad idea, but I think the residents are concerned with the impact on them. Nick said 2 weeks ago that you would be open till about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and that off sales would literally be someone coming up to a hatch, having a half pint taster, choosing their beer and going. But everything you've said in this meeting suggests that you want longer opening hours, and also that it won't just be someone coming to a hatch and getting a half pint. I just wonder, could you explain to me why what Nick said 2 weeks ago is so different to what you're saying today?
So, everything up until the 5:30 is pretty much truthful. I mean, we've got to future-proof the business. I mean, like I say before, you know, the majority of sales will be done online. We are thinking about putting seating in place for people, but like I say, it's going to be like a maximum of 5 to 10 people outside maximum. You know, it's not going to be a big place, and I'm willing to work with residents to lower the the closing time. I'm completely with Emma. I've got kids myself. I know what it's like.
No, you don't.
It's going to be. Sorry.
Excuse me. Could you keep your microphones muted, please?
What did she say? Sorry,
I don't know. I didn't pick it up, Mr. Rees Jones. But please continue.
Yeah, I want to work with residents. You know, I'm willing to drop my time, my closing time. I can do it at the same time as the pub up the road. I don't think anyone's got an issue with that. Maybe, I don't know, but it's going to be done online. Majority of sales will be done online, and literally a taster session at the start. We put we put that in place for seating, just to future proof it, so we don't have to go through all the premise application again. But it's not going to be much seating. It's just, you know, to cater for a minimum amount of people.
Okay, thank you for that. My concern is, and this is why I started with the preamble about the site itself, is that at present, today, there is no area to seat people that is safe from traffic or parking.
Yeah.
So you're hinging this on a future planning application. And whilst that may be the aim of the business, if we look at today, if you would start operating today, there is no place for people to sit or try the beer. And the tap room you mentioned, if it's the one that Nick showed us on the day, is a little room that's about 6 foot square. It's an old pump room, so obviously people won't be coming into that.
No, it'll be people coming to taste it. You know, we've only said about the seating. We've only talked about that very recently because, like I say, just to future proof it, so we don't have to do it all over again. Hopefully, we can get, you know, we can do, if the business grows and people are happy. I mean, we'll do additional seating away from Emma's house. You know, we'll wait. We can. That's going to be a planning application, not the premise we've got. You see, so at the moment there would just be people coming tasting our beer at the hatch, and majority of it, and then if they like the beer, they can take the beers home with them, and yeah, online sales is somewhere to brew. But half 5 doesn't make sense, to be fair. But I am willing to drop that closing time.
I think if I can speak on behalf of the residents who contacted the councillors, the concern is that they're worried about noise at night. And one of the things you said was to stay open to 11, the pub up the road closes a bit earlier, so you could get the people on the way back from the pub.
Yeah, well, that's what we'd like to do. But at the same time, we've got to work with the residents, haven't we?
But the suggestion from that, though, is you can have people that have already been drinking and then at 10, 11 o'clock at night are going to be coming to your premises, which is residential effectively, and trying to buy beer there. And with the best will in the world, and speaking as an ex-policeman, people who've been drinking at 10 o'clock at night are never quiet. So I understand what you're saying about growing the business, and yeah, take my hat off to you because that's what you want to do. But I just don't think
we can stop serving the alcohol. They can still buy it as an off license.
You're talking about doing tasters, and part of the problem here is what regulations do you have in place where you decide, right, we won't give people tasters, but we will sell alcohol? Do you say, like, after 7 o'clock, we're not giving tasters, we're only selling? There's nothing there that's actually prescriptive, that actually gives the residents something to hang on to.
That's why we've done till 11, so we can work with it. But obviously, we can set, this is what this meeting's about today. We can set something in place so everyone's happy.
I think going back to what Emma said, 2 weeks ago when we met with Nick,
yeah,
you're quite happy to write down your operating times,
yeah,
the schedules, what would happen.
Yeah.
And one of the residents even suggested, and Nick said about doing 3 days a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And one of the residents actually suggested do a Monday, so it would enable you to do bank holidays,
yeah,
and therefore you could brew.
Yeah.
So there was a willingness there from residents.
Yeah.
But we're back now to this 11 o'clock at night stuff. And a lot of what you're saying today is totally different to what Nick told the residents 2 weeks ago. The problem is, just going back to the issue of everything else that surrounds this venture, it's not giving people confidence. Is there something you could do to give us confidence? Because it's very vague at the moment. It's what you'd like to do and what you might do and what you could do, but there is no place for people to sit. There is no place really for people to stand.
There's definitely a place for people to come and stand and take away beer. Yeah. Sitting is going to be, like I say, a planning, and we can lower the closing times to a time that suits everybody. But I feel that 5:30 wouldn't be a good time for us. Obviously we've got to brew in the meantime as well, so we'll be there brewing. I mean, the sales is we can do sales Friday, Saturday, Monday, and then have the rest of the days not. You know, we're willing to work with residents. We can do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday like a bank holiday, and we can do the closing time. You know, a lot. We can lower it so it's not 11 o'clock at night. Believe me when I say this. I am willing to work with residents. I don't want people on my back. I want people to enjoy coming there and having a beer and hopefully taking some home with them. That's the idea of it.
But Reese, I think that's the issue that everyone's concerned about, is that this is pitched mainly as a nano brewery with online sales to regiments. Everyone's happy. And I think many people have a problem with that. But even in your statement there, you said you want a place that people will come and have a beer. That's what the residents don't want.
Have a beer, not get drunk and cause a nuisance.
Okay, I think that could be a subjective one.
I'll just bring Natalie in, the licensing officer, just to interject there. Sorry, Steve. You're on mute, Natalie.
Sorry, yeah. I just wanted some clarity from Reese. Obviously, you said there's absolutely nobody drinking inside. So on your application, I'm just confused as to why you need on sales. Because at the moment you've got a license. You're saying it's because it's only off sales that you're only going to be able to do if people aren't going to be in the premise, because only the unit is licensed.
Yeah.
So obviously you're only selling in the unit. Obviously you've got on and off sales, so obviously people can take the beer away. But at the moment, obviously you've got on sales, but no one can drink in there on the site.
Yeah.
So what is the need for the on sales? Because obviously you're restricted by the size of your unit.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like there's any scope for there to be on sale. So I'm wondering why that was on there. And then obviously, just to make you aware, you know, should this license be granted, whether it, you know, as it is or in any way. So if you've got on and off sales, you could have a license for off sales, but you've got nowhere to sit. So there's nowhere for people to go and sit with the off sales, and there's nowhere for anybody to go inside and have on sales. So you actually can't do anything. Are you aware of that? That was my question.
Because we had some, obviously some sort of plans in place, and since then a lot of things have changed. That's why we've done the on sales, because we did have plans at the start for that, but obviously we're not going to go ahead of it. And where literally the off sales, we were on about seating on the car park, where John's going to put the car park, not on the car park, but an area on the car park, which would be on planning. But at the moment, it's just going to be people coming in at the service hatch, having a taster there, and then grabbing a few beers and going off site. But we just put that in just to future proof it, so we don't have to do another application. You see, for the seating. There'll be no drinking on site. Just a tasting and taking beers away.
Right. This is just my suggestion here, Mr. East Jones. Whenever I like a beer or two, and whenever I sample beer, it's never normally in half pints. It's normally in like shot glasses, so you can have a sample, and normally they're free samples.
Yeah.
Then you go, quite like that one there. I'll purchase that, whether it's in a bar or whatever. I'll purchase that. Your business plan, the way you've got it currently, looks very much to me that you sample the beer, you then purchase the beer, and then you leave.
That's what I think everyone would be happy with, to be fair.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go back to Mr. Steve Eccles Hall, please. Sorry for interjecting there.
Oh, thank you. Reese, you were talking about a tap room, and again, I just need to clarify this in my mind. when you spoke about the tap room, it was about people drinking inside, and then you said, no, we won't have people inside.
I've never said people drinking inside.
I'm sorry, I might have misheard you earlier. I thought you said about people inside,
No.
but
No.
as a tap room, do you literally mean where you pour the beer and hand it through the hatch? Is that right? Again, this comes to the outside of the premises, that speaking from the experience of being on site, you might have enough room for 3 or 4 people to stand, but
Exactly, yeah.
But
it's not going to be a big operation. But
your business plan seems to be leaning towards what you might be able to do in the future.
Yeah.
Which involves other applications and other situations. But until they're agreed, you're trying, the basis of your license application should be done from today almost, or from the start point. So at the moment, you have nowhere for people really to be inside the premises, nowhere for the people to be, more than 3 or 4 people to be outside the premises. The hours, I think, need clarifying substantially.
Like I say, I'm willing to work with everybody.
If I might be so bold, and I'm not sure if this is outside my remit, I think the online sales and the regiment, I think that was probably a goer, but I think the public aspect of what you're trying to do, it doesn't fit with the site at the moment. And because what you're saying today is so markedly different to what we were told by your fellow director 2 weeks ago, and I know that several of the residents have been in touch with Nick on a couple of day basis. It doesn't sound very joined up. And again, it comes back to Emma and Gaynor. They are your immediate neighbours who you've had a chance to speak with. And they are as much in the dark today as they were 2 weeks ago, as they were 4 weeks ago. So I don't think anyone's against your business venture, but I just don't think this is thought out well enough, and I don't think it's prescriptive enough. And the vagueness of it leaves everyone thinking, what's next?
Well,
Sorry,
certain...
if I could just finish, the bit about picking up trade after the pub finishes, I know as a business model that works for you, but from a residential point of view, that's just a no-go. I just don't see how any of the residents are going to go for that, from what they've told me. But
this is exactly why I'm willing to talk to people, and this is why we're here today.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. I think that's all the questions.
Okay. I'm going to come to a little suggestion here. This is just a suggestion, Mr. Rhys-Jones. I would suggest, if you're willing, if this committee is minded to support an application for an alcohol license there, that you limit it to tasting. Those tasters are small, they're free of charge, and the person that's coming to see you purchases the alcohol and leaves, and there's no alcohol consumed on site. And you've got your online sales as well.
Online sales, and also people can take away our beer, as a local off license, basically. Yeah,
without consuming on site.
Without consuming on site.
Is that something you're willing to look at?
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Josie Ewing, please.
Thank you, Chair. It's a question for Rhys. It's just to clarify, the question that I asked first, Rhys, was a approximation of how many clients you assume that you would have on an evening or an afternoon basis. You replied with that you may have between 5 and 10 that would be consuming alcohol within your tap room. But yet a moment ago, while you were in a discussion with Steve, you've just suggested that nobody would be consuming alcohol on site and that you would have them sat at chairs post planning permission for that. I know it's a little off course, but could you clarify what happened within the hour of me asking my first question and then you repeating it back to Steve, please?
Because I want to be in line with the residents, and I feel that that's what the residents would like.
You answered Steve in regards to changing your mind after listening to the people that are present in this meeting.
It was mainly Emma, to be fair.
Okay, thank you for that. I just wanted some clarification on record that you had actually told me that you were looking between 5 to 10 residents or service users consuming your alcohol, you said 5 to 10 sat in your tap room, and now you've changed your mind.
That's what we originally wanted, but at the same time, we've got to work with everybody, and I feel that tasting and having taster days, and coming to a shop or an off license and selecting locally sourced ciders, gins and beers to take home, and also letting us brew there so we can sell online. I think everyone's going to be happy with that, and I think we can still run a business by doing that also.
Okay, thank you. You've cleared that point with me. I can see that there was some change in your points made. So thank you very much, Reece.
Okay, Ms. Emma Rhodes and Ms. Gaynor Porter, I'll come to you momentarily. I want to come to the final speaker on the opposition, and that's County Councillor Lucy Roberts. Over to you, County Councillor Lucy Roberts, please.
Chair, and I appreciate that because unfortunately I've got to leave the meeting very shortly. I mean, my concerns were really those raised by the residents, and that's been discussed at length. My initial concern about the application was the lack of information and the fact that there was no, I couldn't find anywhere anything to clearly say what a nano brewery was and how much beer would be produced by a nano brewery. There still seems to be, to my mind, a lot of confusion about how much beer is actually going to be produced, where it's going to be sold, to whom, and you know, inside or outside. So I would still have a concern about that. But I also would just like to ask Reece whether he is aware that there is also another business selling alcohol, perhaps just a few hundred yards up the road at Brookhouse Farm. So that's a business known as the Potting Shed, which actually isn't listed on the list that is associated with the application, but that does have an existing licence for and does sell other alcohol at that premises all day. I'm not sure how late into the evening.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Lucy.
Could I just raise one other point, which is more of a personal thing, that I noticed that the application said that all alcohol would be sold through using plastic beakers, and I would suggest that we shouldn't in this day and age be using plastic beakers where we can avoid it. Thank you.
Indeed. I'll go to Emma Rhodes, please.
I just want to say that I don't know how many times Reece has said he wants to work with us. I don't feel any clearer about this than the day I found out it was happening, to be fair. We've had so many different bits of information that have changed over time. I haven't had any clarification really at all. I don't feel confident in what you're saying to us is what's going to happen.
Okay, so after speaking to everyone here, and obviously I'm willing to do the opening hours from 12 till say 9, just for tasting. No alcohol is going to be consumed on site in pints. This is why I'm trying to work with you. No alcohol is going to be consumed in pints. There'll be no seating area. Okay, it's just going to be us making our ale, and there'll be an off license like a shop. There'll be no other. This is me trying to.
Yeah, but what you're talking about is probably what's going to happen, you know, within the next year. But what's going to happen in 2 years when we've got people all the way across the back of our house here? We've got noise all the way down the side of our house here.
Ms. Rhodes, that will be subject to an application, a further application. We have to deal with what's in front of us today.
That'll be a separate application, which will obviously, it's literally going to be. I'm trying to work with you.
We were told one thing yesterday, and you've changed it today. How do we know that you're not going to change it tomorrow?
Because once it's done here, that's the application.
if this committee is minded to approve an application where, you know, Mr. Rhys-Jones has, you know, come back on his opening time, his tasting times, consuming alcohol, and he's allowed various other things like opening Friday, Saturday, Sunday, no alcohol to be that's purchased to be consumed on site. If those conditions are agreed, and this committee is minded to support the application, then they're set in stone. The only way to change them is another application coming forward, and those conditions are enforceable. Do you have any further questions, Ms. Rose?
No.
Okay. Mr. Steve Eccles, and then I'll go to summing up. So I'll go back to Miss Gaynor Porter then.
Thank you. It's just two quick ones. On the application, Rhys, I think it says 300 litres. And I might have misheard you earlier, but I think that got changed to 300 litres every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So,
sorry, it was a miscalculation. It would be it's 300 litres every brew, so it'll be a maximum of 600 litres. That will be sold, you know, online.
so would that be 600 litres a month or
a month?
A month. So 600 litres, not 300 litres.
Yeah, 600. Yeah.
Okay, and thank you for the consideration about changing times. Just one thing I want to clarify: the application I think is Monday to Sunday at the moment, 7 days a week. So within the days that you're talking about operating, originally you said that you and Nick would be, because you have full-time jobs, you'd only be working Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I guess Monday for a bank holiday every now and again.
Yeah.
Could I just get that noted? That are you saying that your new amended opening times only apply to those 4 days a week?
Yeah, if people are happy with that, yeah, we can still run a business on that model. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, Mr. Chair, that we do know what days, what times specifically for you to set in stone.
Okay, I'll just, has Councillor Lucy gone? Yes, she has, unfortunately. Okay, I'll go back to Ms. Gaynor Porter. If you could just summarise your points very briefly, and we'll go to each opposition member then.
Like what Emma said, because I've been dealing with Nick and speaking with Nick ever since the meeting, and because this has just completely done a U-turn today, it's thrown me back, to be honest with you. Another thing to think, with the other alcohol that was going to be sold, gins, local gins or whatever, were you going to do tasters of those as well? Also, you, as with Emma, you said you wanted to work with the residents, and that's what I thought we were doing with you. And that's why I thought we'd come to this agreement. And I spoke with you yesterday and I said, yeah, you're fine. We will support you. But because of this U-turn and to do with the times and the changes that you've made within less than 24 hours, I'm feeling a bit nervous now, to be quite frank. And I do believe, because as I said to you, it's very quiet here. And I do think it is going to have an impact if you're going to be, you've said that you'll work with us just after you'd changed your mind before. And it's almost like, okay, well, we'll do a bit less. So I'm finding it difficult to accept that what you say you'll do that will actually be implemented. So I'm finding that I'm finding this quite nervous. But if I could just go back, yeah, would the other drinks be offered as tasters as well? No. So it's only what, so they are just on an
just strictly be our ale. They'd be sealed, packaged.
So they just buy it from you and then take it away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. The reason at the start I went in like I did is because to run a business, you need people on board, i.e. residents, but you also need a really good business model and future-proof a business to earn money. Trying to do both is very hard, you know, to keep everyone happy. I've experienced it twice over. I've got 2 businesses and I know what it's like. And this is why I'm willing to work with everybody here, and I'll go back on what I've said. Whatever's said from now will be set in concrete, there will be no other planning application in the near future. It was just going to be to get us off the ground, to get our business running, and to get the majority of these beers sold to regiments. Obviously, we'd like more local residents, and we'd like to cater for more people that come to the business. But obviously, I feel that from speaking to everyone, that's probably not going to be the case. I doubt I'll have many residents coming to taste the beer anyway, to be fair. So it'll be the majority of it would be sold online.
If I can just interrupt you there.
Yeah.
I spoke with you yesterday and I said that people would be willing to come to you because we'd had that conversation. I'd had that conversation with Nick. We'd had that meeting. We'd come to an agreement where everybody felt happy. And I even spoke with you yesterday, and that is what has just totally.
Well, the thing is, it's a business at the end of the day, and I've got to think about a business as well as other things, and this is why I'm at a position now where I'm willing to do things that everyone's going to be happy with. It's, you know, if we can just say, if everyone is happy with this, if we had the brewery upstairs, which is going to be no pollution at all other than water boiling, we'll have downstairs as I say.
Mr. Rhys-Jones, I'll allow you to sum up afterwards. You'll have the last say, but just trying to make a bit of progress here now. Miss Jennifer Maiden, I believe, was the next person I was going to bring in.
Yes.
Just bring your points and to sum up, basically.
Right. Well, basically, along the short, I'm sorry, Mr. Jones, but I don't believe a word you got to say. There is an ideal premises that would suit you just down the road called the Fir Tree Pub, where you would be able to do what you want to do with support of the locals, because the locals were opposed to the pub ever being closed, and it would all be set up. It'd be a great place for you to do what you want to do, which I respect. That's what you want to do, but I do feel that it is a very small village. We've already got a pub, the Hand and Diamond. We've got the Seven Oaks Caravan Park. We've got the Potting Shed. There's so many alcohol establishments there. I just think that this is completely, unreasonable. I don't believe you're going to stay at where you say at this point in time, judging by what's happened recently. So at that point, I'll leave it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next to speak is Miss Emma Rhodes, please. Just to sum up, please, Miss Rhodes.
Okay, I just want to say one thing to Rhys, that he has just commented that this is business. But this is our home. This is where we live. This is our country, little village, countryside. It's quiet, it's peaceful. We've got small children. Yeah.
Which is why
you've got kids.
Yeah.
It's business to you, mate. But I tell you what, this is our home.
Yeah. Which is why.
That's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you. We've got then Mr. Steve Eccleshall, please, just to sum up. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just say, having been clerk for 4 years, this is probably one of the most contentious issues that the council have had brought before them. I feel that the actual idea of a brewery serving to the regiments and online sales, more power to your elbow, mate, I think is a good idea. But I think the impact on the immediate residences has not been thought out. And I think your whole licence needs to be rethought. It seems to miss the mark to me. And I would echo as well that having met with Nick, spoke with Nick, and having had the residents' feedback, they were 75% on board up until yesterday. In fact, probably until lunchtime today. But it is almost a complete about turn. And I realise you are giving some ground, but it does seem ill-conceived at the moment. And I would echo what Emma said. And I know it's an unfortunate choice of words, because you're right, it is a business and you do need to make money. You wouldn't do it otherwise, but unfortunately the residences and families have got to come first. So good luck with your venture, mate. I think it needs to be rethought out and perhaps come back again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Rhys, you have the final say as you're the applicant. I just want you to summarise your points as the opposition members have done. It's over to you.
Okay, so obviously at the very start, we all had, the three directors had a business plan, and we have changed that quite a lot actually in the past couple of weeks. Even so, 24 hours before this, we wanted maximum out of the business, but at the same time, we want people on board with us. I've had to set our boundary at the start and try and let people chisel away at it, because to get to where we are now, where I want people to be happy enough for us to trade. So I think a new premise license with, as you said, would be a tasting, would be sold through a hatch, tasting only, no beer sold in pints. There'd be no consumption of alcohol other than just tasting our ales. Our closing time will go from 11 at night to 9 o'clock. There'll be no one drinking on site. There'll be no one sitting on site. It's just an off license, a brewery upstairs where the majority of our beers will be sold online to regiments. And whoever wants to come onto the business park, whether they want to taste the beer or not, they'll be only buying alcohol from the premise and not consuming it on site. I think that's what everyone wants, personally. And I am a nice man. I get where you're coming from. I really do. And this is why I'm coming to this point now, because I feel that's the best way going forward for all the residents. I hope you can all agree. And thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Rhys-Jones. Thank you very much to everyone who's given information today to this hearing. We are going to, us three county councillors are going to leave now with our legal advisor, Colin Edwards, and we're going to have a separate meeting and come to a determination on this application. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone. We have been away for a short time to deliberate on this decision on this licensing application, which is at Green Lizard Brewery, Barn Business Park at Coidway. And we are minded to approve this application, Mr. Rhys-Jones, but with a number of conditions. Mr. Rhys-Jones.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, sorry, my video's not working for me.
Right, okay. I'll read out the conditions and then I'll ask, are you content with these conditions?
Yeah.
The conditions are as following. No seating area outside or inside the premises. Operating days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday. Tasting times are 12 to 9 p.m. All sales of alcohol to be concluded by 9:30 p.m. This does not affect online sales, which are 24/7. No alcohol to be consumed on site on these premises except for the tasting of those alcohols. All containers to be sealed in a suitable container when leaving the site. Once you purchase the alcohol, the customer leaves the site with a sealed container. Beer samples should not exceed 3 to 5 fluid ounces or metric equivalent. So those are our conditions. Are you happy with them?
Yeah, just writing this down. Beer samples not exceed how much? Sorry.
3 to 5 fluid ounces or metric equivalent.
Yeah, so like a shot glass, basically.
Natalie, could you explain what?
That's exactly what it is. It's like it's not much bigger than, it's almost like a sherry glass, if you like. Yeah. It's not much bigger than that. Yeah.
Yeah, are the residents happy with that? Are we allowed to ask? Or?
That's not part of the hearing today. The conditions are to you, because
Right,
you're
okay.
going to be the applicant.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Although,
Okay.
I need to know. I could do with finding out if the residents are happy with that, because I'm starting to lose, a bit of confidence in actually selling, selling from the site. I feel that, there's still a bit of animosity that we need to ride out. But I'm happy with that, and I can still run a business on them conditions. I'd like to know if everyone else is happy with that, to be fair. But
Well, that's not part of what we hear.
No.
What we hear.
Oh,
today.
I know.
That's something that you'll have to take up with the residents yourself. But that's what we've come to as this panel, and I just reiterate: are you content with these conditions?
Yeah, I'm content. Yeah.
Thank you very much. This now concludes this hearing. I'll hand to Natalie just to outline when you'll hear further correspondence from Powys County Council.
Yeah, obviously, we'll be in touch, Reese. We'll obviously we'll draw up the conditions based on what the subcommittee has just conveyed to you. So yeah, your license will be sent out, once we have written confirmation of all that, within a few days. But it's probably worth us having a bit of a chat anyway, just to go through, just so that you're clear on what you can and what you can't do.
Yeah, that's where I think we're all happy with that. Yeah, we'll all be happy with that. Yeah, I'll look forward to hearing from you. Cheers.
Okay, thank you very much. I conclude this meeting. Thank you for everyone that's attended. Thank you for everyone that's given evidence. Thank you very much. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.